Welcome everyone to Supplier Power Month. I'm Lara Guevara, CEO of Move Supply Chain, and I am joined by Mark Mulunda, CMO of Speed Fulfill. And today's workshop is about transforming how you work with suppliers. So not just by negotiating harder, but by designing power into your operation. So stick with us. Aside from the view of the warehouse of Speed Fulfill, we will be having a lot of good discussion about this, and you're gonna feel like you just unlocked a cheat code for your business at the end of this session. Okay, so here's what I want you to walk away with today's workshop. You'll stop reacting to suppliers and start setting the terms, timelines, and expectations that protect your business. This isn't about being difficult or being needy, it's about being strategic. Okay, so let's start with some hard truth. Okay, so this first section might sting a little, but stay with me. Here's what most founders believe, right? So they believe 100% that my supplier is the problem. Any issues, supplier is the problem. Supplier is slow, supplier is messed up, supplier ghosted me. And look, sometimes that's true. Some suppliers are just not great, but most of the time, it's not a supplier problem. It's a design problem, or how you communicate or how you strategize your relationship with your supplier problem. Right. Okay. Let me explain before you get mad at me. Suppliers respond to risk, right? They're thinking, is this company, is this brand, is this person gonna pay me? Are they gonna stick around? Warehouse responds to flow. Is inventory moving or just sitting in the warehouse collecting dust? And most founders, they haven't designed for either. They are just hoping things would work out after NPD, after sourcing, after buying their products, after placing their PO and delivery. They are just hoping things will work out. And it will depend on many factors like marketing, how they sell it, but there's not a strategic plan how they work with their warehouse and with their suppliers. So hope is not a strategy, friends. And today we're going to teach you how to improve that. Let that sink in for a while. If you don't design your power, what you inherit or what you do is chaos. Every reactive decision, every last minute scramble, every frustrated email to your partner, it's all a symptom of not having designed your position in the relationship. Okay. What does supplier power actually mean? Let me reframe this for you. So supplier power is not being aggressive in negotiations, right? It's not demanding discounts every quarter. And it's definitely not switching factories every year hoping the next one will be better. So that's not power. That's chaos disguised as an action, right? It's not solving the root cause. It's just temporarily solving the issues, but not the root cause. So, power. So this is the one of the most important slides. Power is actually pretty simple. It's four things. So one is predictability. Can your supplier or your warehouse or your vendors, your partners, can they count on you? Or are you the one always producing chaos? Like, do you send rolling forecast, 30 days, 90 days, annual forecast? Do they know what's coming next quarter? Do you inform them like your plans in your growth? Or do you just pop up randomly like, hey vendor, hey partner, I need 5,000 units in 3 weeks? So that's not a customer, that's a jump scare for your vendors. You know, they will accept your order, of course, but it's not like a relationship, a good relationship action for them. Also, next is cash discipline. By the way, if you have questions, during this workshop, feel free to chat in our chat box and we will be reading your questions right away. Or if you want to wait at the end of the session, there's also Q&A after. So either works. All right. So next is cash discipline. Do you pay when you say you will? Right? Revolutionary concept, I know. If you say 30/70, if you say net 30, do you actually pay on the day 30? Or is it more like you will start paying on the 31st or 30th and then wait for 3 to 5 days for the money to arrive? So it's maybe some simple things like that you don't consider, but at the end, you're still late, right? So if you say 13, it's not 30-ish. It's not 45. It should be net 30. So check with your accountant or your finance or whoever is paying, how do they manage your payment? Suppliers, remember, let me tell you that in my 17 years in supply chain and dealing with vendors, they always remember. So if you are the brand, the company that is always paying late, they remember you. They always remember you. Next is operational clarity. Are you easy to work with, right? Or does every order come with soap opera, drama? Everything has a reason why it's rush, right? And I know sometimes it's happening, especially in DTC, because we're so fast paced that we need to be flexible and adaptable. We always say that DTCs should be flexible, adaptable, but if it's just one or two times, maybe it's acceptable. But if it's like every PO that's happening, then there's something wrong, right? So example, do you send complete specs up front? Or do you change the packaging 3 times mid-production and then ask why it's delayed? Do you have one point of contact, or do five different people email them with different instructions, with different information, with different requests? So understand that if you have a team, check in with the team how they're communicating with your vendors. Is there one group? Is there one email? Is there one source of truth? Or there are so many people looking at different things, communicating different things, all right? And then next is volume intent. Do they see a future with you? That's very, very important. Like, is this going somewhere? Is this just a one-time PO, or is this a long-term partner? Have you ever said we're planning to 3x or 2x or 10x next year and we want you to grow with us? I know brand owners doing this personally, but how about you? Are you doing this to your vendors, or do they have no idea if you'll even reorder after the first PO? Suppliers invest in customers who are going places or who are including them when they speak of growth. Show them the vision, show them the plan, your growth plan, and it will have a very different result. So that's it. That's the whole game. It's just for power that we want to apply right away. And it's really simple to start. And probably you're doing this already, and probably you don't know that this is even required, or even a good steps or a good strategy. So now this four power is already shared with you, and we will discuss more how to even practice that. All right, so here's the formula. Supplier behavior is a function of predictability times cash times ease. That's the only formula. If any one of these is weak, your priority drops, or you are deprioritized by your vendors. Your power, you don't have strong power to your vendors. It doesn't matter if you're a great partner in two areas. If one weak link, you will slide down their list. All right. So let's make sure that predictability, cash, and ease of working with you is is going to improve this 2026 so that you increase your power. Okay. So now let's talk about something most founders don't even exist. And it's the invisible supplier ranking. Okay. So the plot twist is your suppliers are ranking you, or your partners, or your vendors. And I hope Mark can share more of this later on. But your partners are ranking you. So right now, in a spreadsheet, in their head, they're talking within the office. They will never tell you, but they're doing it. And then this is a funny story that I've experienced personally in one of my visits in China. So I was there last October. I was with I'm here in this big, really huge manufacturing plant in my entire supply chain career. And we were in the meeting room, and what we're negotiating is payment terms. That's the goal. Payment terms is the goal. And then we were there inside, and the 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 higher apps joined the meeting, and so the sales representative is kind of introducing us. So this is Move Supply Chain. They're representing this brand. They're ordering for us. They are the inventory planners, the product development, sourcing, and the director asked, who's that brand? So she did not recall. And the sales representative again explained, oh, they are this and that in from this country. Oh, the director said, oh, they're the one with rush request every PO, right? So so we were like there, we know the truth, but we are remembered not with our name, not with our brand name. We were remembered by being late every PO. So of course they're talking. No, they have Unilever as their client. So they have those big companies that they're working with, and we're a DTC. We're a 5 million annual revenue brand trying to really grow the business, and then we are not doing a good partnership with them because they don't remember us in a good way. They remember us in a bad way. So I just wanted to share that with you as one of the biggest proof how they are remembering us, how they're scoring us. So here's the 5 things suppliers rank you on. So first is volume consistency. Not even how big you order or how huge you order. It's your are your orders steady or chaotic? Like, do you order 2,000 units every month, or is it 500 1 month, then suddenly 8,000, then suddenly none for 3 months, and then suddenly 5,000 again? That roller coaster stresses them out. If they don't have acknowledgement or idea on your volume consistency, it stresses them out because they're preparing their raw materials for you. If you don't give them the plan, if you don't give them information or consistency, they don't know how to order their raw materials for you. And maybe if you're consistent, maybe they could get discounts on their raw materials too, right? But because you're inconsistent, they don't know when to buy, where to buy, how to buy the raw materials. So steady, remember this, steady beats big. Right. So next is payment reliability. I've somehow shared this earlier. Do you actually pay on time? Is your invoice if your invoice is due on the 15th and you pay on the 15th every single time, you're already in their top 20% of customers. Seriously, the bar is that low. A lot of DTC brands are paying late to their vendors. So even not even ahead, not even advance, just pay on the exact due date, you're already in the top 20% of their customers. So remember that, because this is a simple step, simple adjustment, simple improvement that can make your ranking high. Operational ease is the third. Are you chill to work with, or are you a nightmare? Are they scared when there's a Slack message, or a WeChat or WhatsApp message or email? Sometimes they get anxious whenever there's new message from their customers. So do you respond to emails within 24 hours or any communication channel? Do you approve samples quickly? Do you ghost for 2 weeks and then come back with a different design? They will keep giving you score based on that. So Operational ease is also like, what do you call this, it's a culture within your brand. It starts from you as the owner. It starts with you, from you as a founder, as a CEO. And then once you show how easy for you to work with, then your any of your talents or support or agency will have the same culture, right? So that's very, very important. Next is growth trajectory. That's number 4. Are you going places or staying small forever? Have you shared your roadmap? Do they know you're launching 4 SKUs next year? Or do they know you're launching 20 SKUs next quarter? Do they think you're just a small brand doing one-off orders with no future? Nobody invests in dead end, right? So they will keep accepting your orders, but they will not think of investing on you if there's no growth trajectory. Next is relationship history, number 5. Have you built trust or is it always transactional? When things went wrong last time, did you work through together? Do you discuss the problem? Do you discuss the issues? Or did you threaten them to that you will leave? And there's a lot of emails and WeChat about that. You remember how you act when stuff breaks, right? When everything is having difficulty or challenges, how do you react? How do you treat them? That's the real test. So it's also, I've known a lot of founders who, or owners who threat their suppliers that they will leave or they will not pay the rest of the pay of the balance if they don't fulfill everything. It's sometimes it works if it's already like, if it's happening every single time, meaning your vendor is not a good partner. But if you are open to really building relationship with them, then this is not the right step to do. So be honest. How do you think you're scoring from your vendor given these 5 things that they ranked you on? All right. So here's what most founders miss. Where your inventory sits and how it ships directly affects how suppliers rank you. And this is where fulfillment becomes leverage. And I'm very fortunate that Mark is here with us because it will be giving us so much information on this part. So, Mark, you can take it from here and I will guide you with the slides.
Thank you so much, Lara, and it's a pleasure to be on this platform today. Um, it would be great for sure if you could help with the slide and a bit of an introduction. So, my name is Mark Mulunda. Um, the CMO at Speed Fulfill, and Speed Fulfill is a 3PL based in China. As you can see on our screen, we have one of our colleagues who's just recording a live, just to give you guys a bit of a perspective of what's going on and just a bit of a feel of a live feed from the warehouse. So without further ado, like just joining into the conversation, wonderful presentation earlier, and we're going to talk about leverage from a supplier's point of view in terms of fulfillment. So of course you've managed all of your, you're looking on how to, I think the theme here is to get some power in terms of as a brand and a lot of leverage in negotiation and a lot of operations with your fulfillment. So if Laura can kindly help me with the next slide on how you can actually, work on supplier leverage. One of the key overall points is obviously communication, which Lara covered. You need to be able to communicate with your supplier. And if you think about communication, right, there's so many dimensions to communication because, you have your chat, you have your email, you have your in-person chats. You fly into China and you have an in-person meeting. These are all factors that actually, influence overall how much power you have in terms of a fulfillment negotiation in this case. So, in terms of China-based fulfillments, right? I know, this sentiment with China over the years in terms of how China is perceived not only in manufacturing but overall in terms of technology infrastructure, it's getting better, and the world is starting to know more about what China can offer. Now if we narrow down into fulfillment, what are the benefits for a founder in terms of fulfilling from China? Now Of course, a lot of brands out there are doing local fulfillment, whether it's US to US, EU to EU, AUS to AUS. China, we can all agree, is the manufacturing hub of the world for many factors. You know, of course, there's the usual low labor costs. Infrastructure is built, streamlined for this, and also, shipping infrastructure as well with first mile courier and collaborations with the last mile courier, USPS, for example, in the US. So some of the benefits that are offered is based on, I think, largely infrastructure and just this advantage that China has, policies that they've done over the years that support production. Now, once you have your product produced, most of the time you would have a lower production cost than in other countries, unless it's a special product. I'm just talking on average, right, guys? So once you have that, you have the power of moving fast from production into fulfillment, which is what you want. We want to reduce the time that the customer has to wait, or the lead time for a product, for it to be either be redistributed to a warehouse in the US if you want to have a bulk shipment sent out, or you want centralized, global fulfillment from China. And the benefits here, I think it all depends on your brand, right? Of course, we are China based. We will give you our perspective, but there's a lot of brands out there that are doing really well with US fulfillment. And it all depends on a few factors that you wish to have. I was speaking to a brand the other day, and one of the advantages, of course, with China fulfillment is global expansion. So you can easily have centralized location and actually target different markets, using a streamlined system, and you only get to communicate with one warehouse, right? Although, of course, I know that Lara has spoken about this. If you're talking about US or your major market, you might prefer to have US fulfillment because you're missing out. There was a brand that we're speaking to that's actually, moving from China fulfillment to US fulfillment for the US specifically. I should be specific about that. And the reason is because they missed out quite a lot of revenue between Christmas Day and around, I would say, 14 days before that. Because if they
Yeah.
fulfilled from the US, obviously they will be able to, have more revenue. Lara wanted to come in on
Yeah,
that one.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Because it's also quick delivery versus time to market. When you're
Exactly.
late and we're always rushing DTC. Our new product development is kind of late, then you have to wait for 30, 45 days or 60 days to ship it in the US via sea, or you'll spend so much shipping via air. So yeah, there's also, even if your major market is in the US, a lot of our clients are doing this kind of technique where they have their warehouse in China and China alone, because they don't have to wait for that 45 days or 60 days
Exactly.
to wait for their products, right? They can just announce in their website that it will be like 5 days, 8 days, or 10 days to arrive their products versus yeah. So the upside of that is also the time to market. If you're rushing on selling your product, then just transfer within China and then fulfill right away.
100%, 100%. And also with tariffs, right? You don't have to pay tariffs all at once. You can, actually you're paying that tariffs, on demand. So when it's shipped out in terms of two door, there's very fast fulfillment nowadays from China. And one of the upsides as well, I'll also talk about other markets, including Australia and the EU. So there's so many, like views on it, perspectives, and you should, of course, we'll support with Lara here on any questions that you have. So what I wanted to narrow down on is, there's also another, downside as well, which we noticed this Q4 was we noticed that fulfillment from China is actually quite efficient. So the Christmas period is normal days. It's normal working days in China, because they have, as everyone knows, the Chinese New Year. So what you find is that the first mile courier was still efficient, leading up from Black Friday, Black Week into Christmas, of course, the most profitable time of the year. Now, what you had a delay on was actually not the first mile courier. It was actually, I would say the target markets where, some of these warehouses, which were transferred as last mile couriers, were actually either, half staffed, or sort of in a rotation. And so if you look at the flip side as well, there is also that possibility. Of course, it will be faster. So just have these conversations, and I think the whole goal is just to give you as much information to make the best decision for your brand. So and narrowing down into China benefits. There's of course faster shipping after production because it's the same country, right? So it's the same country. You have a very good cohesion internally because language wise, the infrastructure shipping within China is whichever area of China is 1 to 2 days, and within 1 to 2 days the factory and the receiving warehouse is actually able to have that inbound inventory. And also of course we also talking about business culture, an advantage with China is the business culture there is very hardworking. I know it's cliche, but there is this tendency in China to that's why they've done really well over the years. And it's kind of embarrassing to be lazy, if it makes sense, in China. So people actually look at it as you're being lazy, and people get ashamed. But anyway, not to dwell too much on that, just giving you a perspective of the benefits of China, the efficiency of China. China also comes with its disadvantages sometimes with communication, because communication, of course, like we mentioned, via chat, you might be talking to your sales rep, very fluently over text with AI. And then when you fly over, it may not be the best communication. And that's why, you have, companies such as Move that actually, help with this communication as well. And you have less pressure to rush production. So less pressure, of course, when it comes to something happens. There's things that are unforeseen. SKU is not moving really well. You want to change something. China is very fast, very agile, and you still have reach to each corner of the globe, I would say, in a pretty decent time. And also, yeah, cleaner production to fulfillment handoff, which we spoke about because of that cohesion. So this all allows you to have fewer last minute changes. The communication is very strong, fewer emergency shipments, and also you're able to plan your production much better. So you have a better, how can I say, some sort of breathing space when fulfilling and from China. So I think these are some of the benefits, and a lot more that you guys would want to mention. But these are the things that I think really help you to get a good leverage as well with suppliers. And yeah, if Lara may go to the next slide. So yeah, suppliers definitely prioritize inventory flows to that can be cleanly shipped out from the factory. So just to Lara spoke about, I was even surprised, but yeah, it was when she mentioned that we actually rank founders and brands, that is 100% true. So we have our rankings based on flows and based on priorities, like any TDL, any to-do list. We'll have priorities, and we actually have clients that we would get a favor just based on some of those points that mentioned, and this goes out to the salesperson, and you want them, I and everything she mentioned was right. I know some of our sales team as well who have, in Chinese is called mafan. So mafan is like, it's like, I know it sounds a little bit, it's nothing bad. It just means troublesome. So it's troublesome client. So when you're labeled troublesome client, you don't want to be labeled the troublesome client. And it's a bit unfair as well on the founder, to be honest, because it's a service that they're using, but that's the reality, and we have to see how we can deal with the reality. So what gives you an advantage and prioritizes you for sure is having stable order volumes, inbound and outbound. I think that's really the key. That means that the team or the supplier feels that it's a win-win situation. And there's also another term that means the fact that as a business, founders, D2C brands is a business, 3PL is a business, the vendor is a business. So if there's no inventory moving, basically there's no money being made. So that basically what it means. And I think it just correlates to the order volume. So order volume is always a big question. I'm sure that's one of the first questions that vendors will ask, what's your order volume? Because another thing as well is, because China is known for this, so you tend to have a lot of how can I say, because it's so easy to access China from any part of the world. You could have a 16-year-old in Slovenia, or in Papua New Guinea, or in Indonesia. A 15-year-old could text the supplier. That's how easy access is. And imagine they have so much emails, inquiries, and they just want to narrow down and use their in energy on high impact tasks, which would be a founder, a D2C brand. So sometimes just bear with them as well. They may feel that, as long as you let them know and assure them, give them some reassurance as well that, okay, this is what I have, show them screenshots, show them what you've done. And I think this will be, it'll be much better. So I think this will prioritize you for sure. Just let them know about your order volume and, how, your inventory is flowing and forecasting as well, and as well as the results, and and also some sort of projections as well, which is something that's missing. So yeah, I like a lot of points that Lara covered as well. So including a big one as well, you have teams. I know a lot of brands have teams with, let's say 10, 12 personnel. So just look at it again. What communication channel are you using? Who is discussing this with the sales rep? What's the communication channel like? What's the flow like? Um, and yeah, these are all really good points that I think really hit the nail on the head. Yeah. And then I think we can. Yeah, great. So I think, yeah, Lara can come in. I think it's yeah, this power loop I think was really good. And yeah, Lara, you can go ahead to the next one, and I'll see if we can come
Yeah.
in.
Yes,
Hmm.
I also wanted to add with what you've mentioned, Mark. It's definitely so now maybe you're asking, but I'm a new here. I'm new in the DC. I don't know what would be my actual forecast will be, or I don't have plan for everything right now, and that's okay. And I know a lot of founders being in that scenario at this point, but that's where a good communication will come in. Like, you don't have to keep ordering 50,000 pieces if you don't have that requirement, right? But if you are informing your vendors ahead of time that this will be the consistency, like, instead of ordering per month, maybe it's ordering per quarter or ordering every 6 months. It's the information, right? It's the information that needs to be cascaded to your vendors. If you are uncertain of the growth or improvement or changes in your numbers, in your forecast, in your products, then communicate that and give that information. It's better than not giving anything and surprising them with so many adjustments and rush requests, right? So don't feel hopeless if your brand is not doing consistent ordering right now, because and even if you provide a 3 months or 6 months rolling forecast, and if it didn't happen, then just communicate why it didn't happen. What's lacking, what I see lacking, is the transfer of information. Like, you don't treat them as your partner, you treat them as someone producing your product. So if you inform them that this is what happened in my business, I am definitely affected by tariff and I cannot order in the next 6 months, then they will understand. And sometimes they will keep products for you or raw materials for you, and that's very, very important. Power from your vendor. Okay.
100%.
Let me walk you through how this actually works in real life. So the blue one is kind of colored it blue for move and somehow, which is operations, and the green one kind of colored it for speed fulfill, which is fulfillment side. So let me walk you through how this actually works in real life. Say your brand is doing 50K a month and you've got supplier in China. Here's what usually happens. You place an order, it ships, it sits in your warehouse, eventually it sells. Eventually you get cash. Eventually you pay your supplier. And then you scramble to figure out your next order. So that's the chaos loop. Everything's reactive. Your supplier has no idea what's coming. You're always behind. Now, here's the power loop. You sit down and tell your supplier, here's what we're planning for the next 90 days. Here's our order schedule, and here's when we'll pay, and we'll stick to it. That's step one. Clear terms, predictability. We discussed that earlier. Then step two, you actually follow through. Orders come in when you said they would. If no, then explain. Again, changes, so many changes can happen in DTC. And if there are changes in your plan, when you explain, there will be no surprises, even if you didn't achieve what you've initially planned for. Now, step three, Mark, if you can help us with this, this is the fulfillment piece when production finishes.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's a very clear step by step process on how things go. I should add on step three, right? We're talking about making sure you actually follow through with your plan. So this has a lot of factors, right? Geopolitical, marketing, it didn't work out, and let's just talk about the didn't work out part. If it works out, that would be great. You're able to reflect that. If it didn't happen, a tip as well you can use is you can use your history. We suppliers, we're actually very reactive to history. So if you show your potential and you say, hey, this didn't fail, but I have a brand that, did X revenue or is did X revenue with actual, evidence, because obviously with this online space, you want to be able to show screenshots and some sort of history. So history is key. Just a tip, if you show your supplier some history, some facts, something that has happened, because I noticed that over the years, with being in China, that if your projections don't work out, you are in a situation where you have to, like Laura said, explain it. And like you said, you can hop on a call and mention it to them and just supplement that with some history as well. If you do have history, if you don't have history, just use communication terms that could work and sit down with them. A lot of them are able to get down on a Zoom call, or have an English rep and just let them know about this. And then step four, of course, is how can you optimize your fulfillment? So most of the brands that fulfill from China, you either have, I would try to you have, I'm not sure if you've heard of this, Unexpress. You have economic freight carriers, right? Economic logistics carriers. So you look into your logistics carrier and then you have to find out, what shipping line that they're using. So shipping line, you can get into those details, or have our team look into that. But there's many ways to have faster fulfillment. You look at your bundles. How is it? Is it being repacked? How is the SKUs? And find out from the team or from your 3PL, what is like Lauren talked about, the ease of actually packing it. What is the ease of packing it? Like, what is the situation? What are you upselling? Look at your bundles and how everything is set up. This all influences your fulfillment. Of course, we're not saying you shouldn't have any upsells, or because these are ways to add more profit margins, but look into that. Try to make it easier for your supplier to be able to fulfill those orders, because let's just go back to the important word, which is pick and pack, right? It sounds easy. It's picking and packing, but are you actually having your supplier just pick and pack, or are you having them pick, um, try, of course, these are systems the supplier has to have in terms of, you have PDA, you have WMS, but I think you kind of understand, what can you do on your side when you have that? Are you able to reflect the information of, you find sometimes SKU mapping on some founders is not correct. Sometimes it's not really not correct, but it's not really aligned and it's confusing. Did you explain this to your supplier to reduce errors? So all of these can help have faster fulfillment. So correct selecting the correct shipping line, communicating your product mapping, communicating any new products. I've seen, it may not apply, but I've seen some founders actually drop ship on the same store. I don't know if I'm sure you've seen that, Laura, before. And it's easy to just add products, but once you do that, like, yes, you have, I'll just give an example, because the other time we had a skincare brand, and yeah, they did really well. They were a proper D2C brand, and they're like, want to explore a new product. So it's as easy as clicking and adding the new product and start drop shipping. And imagine that one product is in the warehouse and has inventory, and then you have to wait for the other one to drop ship it. So these are things that you really need to think about to optimize faster fulfillment. So yeah, I think yeah, like you can see there in our live stream, that's literally the pick and pack process. And yeah, I think those are the main points I have in terms of trying to have faster inventory exit and faster fulfillment. Yeah.
Yeah. And of
Hmm.
course, the last part of it is because your cash is flowing, you pay your supplier on time, maybe even early, and now your supplier think this customer is reliable. they're easy, they're growing. I want more of this. I want to be part of this. So next time you need a favor, like rash production, better terms, priority during BC peak season, you get it, right? You get what you ask for because you've earned it, and you've done the work. So that's the loop. Predictability creates flow, flow creates cash, cash creates trust. Trust creates the power. And once it's running, you stop fighting for every order, or you stop begging. The system does the work, not you. Okay, so
100%.
let's get practical in this part. I want everyone to do a quick self assessment right now. Okay, so score yourself 1 to 5 on each of this. Payment always on time, orders are forecasted, not reactive, specs rarely change mid production, inventory leaves factory quickly, and supplier flags issues early. So add up your score. You know, it's just numbering 1 to 5, one being the lowest, five being the highest, and then you just add your score. 20 to 25 means you have leverage. 12 to 19 means you're neutral. And below 12, you're being deprioritized. And be honest with yourself here, because if we're not aware of our score, how we are a priority right now, then we cannot create or act on the necessary steps for this, for to improve our relationship or our power to our vendor. So if you can share that in the chat box, or if you wanted to follow through, you can email us, you can message us, and you can we can discuss together how to improve your score. All right. So you don't need a new supplier all the time. If the score is low, if you somehow have a low score right now, you need a new system. You can rebuild. You can rebuild. You can start building. Most brands think switching factories will solve their problems. It won't. It will be, if you don't have a good system, it will just keep happening despite having the best vendor partner. The same patterns will repeat until you design a better system. Okay, so let's talk about negotiation that actually works. So, hot take, stop negotiating price alone. I know, everyone wants the discount, everyone wants a lower unit cost, but hear me out. Let's do some quick math, all right? So, say you negotiate a 5% discount on a $50,000 order. You save 2500 bucks. So that's good, of course. But what if instead you negotiated net 60 payment terms instead of net 30, or net 45 instead of net 30? 30 days, extra 15 days or 30 days to sell inventory before you pay for it. So 30 days or 15 days of not dipping into your credit line. 15 days or 30 days of breathing room. For DTC, for most brands, that's worth way more than $2,500. Okay, way more, especially for DTC. I cannot explain that enough, because I've experienced supporting a supply chain for Fortune 500 companies, and we don't care about payment terms. We have the pocket, the enterprise, but DTC, this 15 days, 30 days is a huge help. So here's what's wild. Suppliers will often say yes to structure changes when they'd say no to price cuts. So one or the other, right? Because structure doesn't cost them money. It's just timing and planning. So here are three things that are way easier to negotiate. And I'll also be explaining to you what happened to my first story earlier when we were negotiating payment terms instead of unit cost. So again, this is a very big factory. They're supporting Unilever. So it's not a small factory that we're dealing with. We know that they have money. And the only reason why they're not accepting before our payment term request is because the owner's strategy is to always pay their vendors on time. That's it. It's not that they cannot handle it, it's not that they cannot support us with our request, but because they are doing that culture within their company and they want all partners to be doing the same thing. And when we explained our reason for asking for payment terms, and this is and the reason is we suddenly had a very huge hotel chain reached out to this brand to for a B2B. So we are a DTC online selling, and then suddenly a huge hotel chain messaged us ordering our product. So of course, the owner, the founder, whatever stocks we have, we gave it to this big hotel brand, big hotel chain, and then we talked to our vendor that we need more for the e-commerce site. So that's the story behind that. And when we explain that, did you know that we are now serving hotel A, right? And they know that hotel. It's in Europe. It's in the US. Every hotel chain, everyone knows that hotel. They suddenly feel proud of their product that they're producing for this brand. And so they started talking to us about this negotiation, and that's how important also, maybe plugging this in, is you go there and talk to them, because that's something that is hard to explain in WeChat, right? Or build that relationship remotely. So that's the story behind our payment terms negotiation with that vendor. So again, payment terms, net 30, or is it 30/70? Are you 50/50, 20/80, 10/90, net 30, net 45, net 60, whatever that is? Milestone payments like 50% upfront, 50% on shipment. This is the biggest lever for your cash flow, and almost nobody uses it. So until you realize how important payment terms is, you wouldn't know what to negotiate. So again, work with your finance. Is it you work with your agency, your CFO, or your controller? What is the safest cash flow for us? Do I need extra 15 days, 30 days? And that's what you negotiate. One founder I worked with switched from net 30 to net 45 with her top supplier, and just one change freed up cash to fund extra production run per quarter. That's just extra 15 days. No loan, no investor, just better terms. Just better term with her top supplier. Right. So production timelines next. Standard lead time, rush options, flexibility windows. Ask your supplier, what if we commit to orders 60 days out? Can you guarantee a 4-week production window? You're giving them predictability. In exchange, you get reliability. Trade, always think about trading, not just taking. This relationship is always two-way. If one factor is more important for you, if lead time is so much more important than other things, then focus on that. You get reliability in exchange of predictability. So trade all the time and not just taking. Next is order cadence. How often do you order? Minimum quantities and standing orders. Instead of negotiating MOQ down from 1,000 to 500, try this. What if we commit to 1,000 units per month for 6 months? Can we lock in this price and get priority production? So again, this in this scenario, MOQ is more important for you. So what you've done is you are trading commitment so that you can lock in. Sorry, the price is more important for you. Lowering the price is more important for you. So in exchange of predictability, you ask for a lower price, and then you get a priority in production, and you get a locked in price. Okay. So now you're not asking for favor. In all of these examples that I've shared with you, you're not asking for favor. You're offering them guaranteed revenue, totally different conversation. You're giving them trade, all right? When you negotiate structure, everybody wins. The supplier gets predictability and commitment, you get cash flow and flexibility. So price negotiations feel like war. One side wins, one side loses. So let's avoid that. Structure negotiations feel like partnership. That's how we build power. Okay, so here's the script you can use. We're structuring. And this is very helpful for you who has been working with your vendors for a while now, and you're just starting to build that power from this workshop. So here's a script you can use. We're structuring our supply chain for predictable volume and faster outbound flow. As part of that, we want to align on terms that support long-term growth on both sides. Notice no mention of price, focus on partnership and mutual benefits. So, Mark, if you can tell them where most brands break their power.
Yeah, so yeah, it's all about empowerment of brands, right? Giving you an edge with your negotiations. And we spoke a few about some of these. Holding inventory for too long at the factory, this sort of brings some anxiety for the supplier because I'll talk specifically about the 3PL. If you're doing China fulfillment as a 3PL, there's a big factor here because with a 3PL, your biggest expectation is, shipping time, right? Of course, the processing time and lead time. If you keep that inventory too long at the factory, there is this anxiety of at the end of the day, the results will speak volumes. And when you look in and see your average shipping times, there was an influence from, keeping it that long at the factory. So this is something that's overlooked. And I think because yeah, I'm a rep of 3PL. Um, if you look at the two biggest influences, just two-dimensional for a brand, which would be marketing and supply chain, right? And with marketing, what you get is you have, whether you're on Meta or Google, the, the, of course there's marketing, sorry, marketing, there's the supply chain, and there's also the finance and payment structures, right? Payouts. So what I'm trying to say is from these three, right, usually you find that the supplier is easy to access, number one, and is maybe it's biased from a 3PL, but we feel that, or like what I've seen, I think Laura was saying the same thing, we're a little bit more vulnerable because we're nobody will go to complain about a Facebook ban. You probably make a new Facebook ad account, with payouts. You find a system because you can't really just reach out or call Shopify if you're in Shopify, but the supplier is just there. He's an email away, he's a chat away, so you can you know you basically have very easy access. So it's good and bad because it's easy access, but what I'm trying to say is that vulnerability means that a lot of these factors can break your power because you have the supplier carry that at the back of their mind. And of course they need to, the 3PL, I'll be specific, needs to offer, number one, fast, efficient fulfillment and shipping solutions. So if there's no fulfillment plan post production, second one, this also breaks your power because, like you said, the supplier is, it's a win-win, right? The supplier is, the 3PL is only, making profit margins just as much as you are if things are moving. So if things are static, just imagine a warehouse needs things to move to be profitable, because otherwise, of course, a warehouse has a storage area, but that storage area is very strategic so that you have some sort of outbound activity. And then paying late because inventory hasn't moved, of course, this one breaks power, and you can fix this by negotiating, right? By communicating, sorry. So just communicate this. Try to find ways in your cash flow of trying to pay on time, as mentioned, because it is going to, the topic, deprioritize you and have you ranked lower in terms of the supplier, and giving you that power when you want to actually work together and work long term. And rather than changing that system, because like I like the slide before, if you still pay late, whether it's Speed Fulfill as a 3PL or X 3PL, it's still the same thing. It's still the same situation. So how do you, improve your payments? Do you scale down for some time? That's not my expertise, but think about ways that you could optimize and give some sort of predictability to your process. And then, yeah, emergency shipping. This is a good one, actually. It does create frustration for brands. Try to see how to make things easy. So you find that Let's say you have brand and you want to send out a product, a sample to an influencer, right? So this should be very clear when you're actually integrating that. You have a couple of influencers, and what systems do they use, and make it easy for the suppliers. So I noticed this as well, is in terms of emergency shipping. um you have canceled orders, which is something that suppliers tend to have challenges with. Have a system with canceled orders. If orders are canceled, have a time frame that you agree on, and whether it's 24 hours, 48 hours. If you have inventory and the supplier is able, and the 3PO is able to actually align with that, then that would be much easier. So I think overall that's a very big topic. Like, just trying to make it easy. I think this was already covered in the beginning. Make it easy. Emergency shipping is perfectly normal. Communicate it well. If you have another alternative, see how that works, and rather than causing chaos and losing out on power. So I think those are very very solid points. And yeah, if there are any questions, it would be great to reach out.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Mark.
Mhm.
And here's the insight. Fulfillment delays upstream create supplier distrust downstream. So Mark mentioned that when your fulfillment is a mess, your suppliers feel it, even if they can't articulate why. So, of course, very important part, the 48-hour action plan. We want, of course, all our participants to have their next action plan that they can get from this workshop. Let's get into the action plan. So, three things, 48 hours, no excuses. Let's make this real so that we want to be an accountable partner to you guys. So if we're just teaching, if we're just sharing information and no action plan, then that's nothing. What's the most important after this workshop is the 48 action plan. So action 1, pick one supplier, just one, your most important one. Yeah. And send them a 90-day outlook. Whatever that is. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it something that you're proud of or not proud of? Send them. Send them the outlook. And here's exactly what to write. So I'll share this also after the workshop, but here's an example. Hey, partner, hey, vendor, I wanted to share our projected orders for the next 90 days. These are just estimates, but I want to give you visibility so we can plan together. And here's what we're thinking: month one, month two, blah, blah, blah. Let me know if you see any capacity issues on your end. That's it. Take 5 minutes to write. Right. So, you know what most suppliers have never received from a DDC brand? A forecast. It's very seldom,
100%.
very rare. You send that one email and you're immediately in their top tier of customers who have their act together. Believe me, that's it. Even if it's just even if there are number changes, you've just shown them you're thinking ahead. That's power. That's very important. Then action 2 for speed fulfill is map your flow. Do you want to share more of that, Mark?
Yeah, sure. I think you already had this one as well.
Yeah.
Mapping your flow, basically after production ends, the same. Share that information with what is the production time like, because whether you're communicating directly with that vendor or Move is communicating directly with the vendor, also reflect that information to your 3PL, because they're the next step as well. So just going to thinking ahead, what is the production time? What is the inbound inventory like procedures? Find out if you're connected to the warehouse WMS, and let them know what your target countries are. Look at the quotation, see if there are any bottlenecks that you can
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
figure out. And yeah, the advantage is a lot of just be I think it's communication, to be honest, and
Yeah.
mapping your flow.
Yeah. Quick tip, write down, if you don't know this yet, write down every step your product makes. Every stop your product makes, sorry. So factory, leaves factory, freight, arrives at port, whether they are in China, in US, or anywhere else, customs, warehouse, fulfillment, customer. So map that. Now circle where things slow you down. Right? Where does inventory sit the longest? Where do delays happen? Be honest. And for most brands, inventory sits at the factory and fulfillment center way too long. Right? So or it lands in a warehouse and just wait, right? And there's no fulfillment that's happening. You can't fix what you cannot see. So map it first, then you'll know exactly where to focus. Then action 3 is connect your payment timing into your inventory flow. Here's what I mean. Look at when you typically pay your suppliers. Now look at when inventory actually starts generating revenue. Usually there's a 100-day gap, especially if you're on 30/70 payment terms. If you're paying on day 30 but inventory doesn't sell until day 60 or 90, you've got a cash gap and that gap is costing you, of course. And it's very common for DTC to have that gap because you pay in advance before you can even sell it. That's why this is something that I've mentioned earlier that is an advantage for speed fulfill is because from the time it's lesser time from the time you pay everything to creating a revenue, because if not it has to wait 45 days via sea or 10 days via air, right? So ask yourself, can I negotiate longer payment terms? Can I move inventory faster? Can I do both? Can I use speed fulfill so that I can it's faster time to market, I can fulfill right away than versus waiting for 45 days. One founder I worked with realized she was paying for inventory 45 days before it even hit her warehouse. She never renegotiated to pay on shipment arrival instead of production completion. So same supplier, same price, just smarter timing. Freed up almost $30,000 in cash flow. And that's the kind of win hiding in your business right now. Three actions, 48 hours, one email to supplier, one flow map on a paper, one hard look at payment timing. You can absolutely do this before the weekend. So you have in the Philippines you have 2 more days. All right. Okay, so this is not a strategy project, this is a decision project. You don't need more information, you just need to make decisions and act on them. So let's close with your next steps. So Move helps you redesign supplier leverage, fix negotiation structure, and create predictability. Speed Fulfill helps you move inventory faster, fulfill globally without delays, and turn production into cash quicker. Together, we're system designers, not vendors. So if you need support in either operations or fulfillment, you can, we'll definitely share with you how to contact us, where to contact us, and how we can help you further. And that's something that we will be sharing after the workshop. So remember this, supplier power doesn't come from pressure. It comes from systems that work together. That's the core message today. And of course, we will be sharing where, Mark, if you want to share where to contact you as well, what's the easiest email that you can that they can use for speed fulfill?
The easiest email would be info at speedfulfill.com. That would be the easiest one. And if you have challenges, you could just hit www.speedfulfill.com and you'll be able to contact us. So I hope for those recorded, it would be easier. But for those who are on the live, it's just www. You could just Google speedfulfill.com. And yeah, you'll be able to get in touch with us.
That's Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Now, here are your three
Perfect.
actions: a supplier power diagnostic with Move, a fulfillment flow review with Speed Fulfill, or a joint strategy call with both of us. Pick the one that fits where you are right now. So, thank you all for joining us today. We exceeded our time, but we're so happy to be supporting you in this journey. Again, the next best, the best thing that you can do right now is to act on your 48 plan. We're happy to answer any questions. Drop them in the chat or stick around for Q&A or email us if you have any questions. Just looking at the fulfillment center right now, they're very busy, Mark.
Yeah, it's early morning. It's 14. So yeah, we're trying to be efficient as possible and try to empower brands as much as possible. Yeah. So yeah, Laura's been there. Like, what's your thoughts on the warehouse?
Yes. Oh, it's really it's spacious, which is always good. But what sticks the most is the quality check that you're doing for the brands. I
Yeah.
think that's the most important. And you have a very good, I think, flow and like the workflow in the system. So definitely one of the most advanced fulfillment that I've seen that is actually very quick in what they do. You know,
Yeah.
it's sometimes it can be very organized but slow. This one
Yeah.
is organized and quick. So
And
that's
quick.
a very good positive.
It's a plus. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. And also speaking about, it's been a topic for the night or day, is inventory staying too long. So you don't have inventory staying too long and staying dusty. We talked about that. Sometimes you have a product, and we pay attention to detail. We're actually making it a modern warehouse where you're actually able to tackle things such as, dust accumulation. People don't really talk about that, especially, products that, you know, clients expect to receive clean and
Yeah.
the same way we would want to receive it, as a package. So these are things that, we address. And yeah, we have, organized systems that try to follow this. And a quick one, by the way, interesting topic about warehousing. So when Bruce is the CEO, right? Remember, Lara, when Bruce and before you guys came, so we had a trip to a warehouse in the south of China. So this warehouse used the Japanese, system of the six S's, right? Because the warehouse has to be organized. So actually, like, even though it's in China, but yeah, just a fun fact, like a lot of systems are actually, you know, learned through Japanese systems. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
because of the
Very
Japanese
efficient.
organ,
Very.
yeah, exactly, very efficient. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a collaboration. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Again, if you have questions, our emails are there. We want to hear from you. If you need help in your 48 action plan, please reach out to us, and we will definitely, you'll definitely hear from us. All right. Thank you, Mark, so much for joining me today. It's such a
Thank you.
so
Thank
fortunate to
you.
have you with us. China perspective, fulfillment perspective. It's always powerful to join
100%.
different perspective in operation. So thank you so much, Mark.
100%. Thank you. Thank you. And 谢谢.
Salamat.
Salamat. Amazing. Yeah, it was really a pleasure, and really enjoyed this. And yeah, we'll definitely catch up for more. And I think it was a power move
Yeah. Yeah.
today. Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Yeah.